Yo, what's going on YouTube, man? Welcome back to another video. It's been a little minute, but we're finally back. We are going to finally do one of our Mystery Fridays. As you guys can see, the title of this video, it's a little interesting. I came upon this video and I saw this title and I was like, I wonder what that could mean, because I really, I don't know who it could have been or what exactly did they mean. The man who saved the world. Saved the world from what and who? What do they do? You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna dive right into this video. You know what I'm saying? I hope you guys have been doing good. I hope you guys are doing great. Make sure you guys grab some snacks or a drink or whatever so we can get through this video. I hope you guys enjoy, man. Let's get into it.
Soviet spy satellite Cosmos 1382 detects the launch of a nuclear missile.
Oh.
Location near a US missile base in Montana. Threat assessment, maximum probability. The emergency protocol is clear. Relay the alarm to Central Command without delay. A counterattack must be initiated immediately. Thousands of Soviet nuclear warheads stand ready for launch, and so do the American missiles. Many carry over 50 times the explosive power of Fat Man, the atomic bomb dropped on Nagasaki. More than enough.
50 times of the bomb that was dropped on Nagasaki?
To wipe out humanity.
Dang!
The logic of the Cold War: mutually assured destruction. Whoever fires first dies second. The man responsible for making one of the most important calls in history is Soviet Lieutenant Colonel Stanislav Petrov. Are the Americans really attacking the Soviets? His report could trigger World War III, and with it, the end of civilization.
Okay, so without even watching the video, I'm gonna make a theory here. My theory is that he has to make sure he doesn't interpret what is going on in a bad way, because depending on what he says will either mark it as not as serious or he'll accidentally start World War III. So oh, I'm interested now. Now I'm reeled in.
A minibus is speeding along a remote forest road somewhere south of Moscow. Stanislav Petrov is on his way to work. Tonight, he's filling in for a colleague on the night shift. About 10 minutes in, the minibus pulls up to a military checkpoint. A plain metal plaque by the gate reads, "Center for the Observation of Celestial Bodies." Officially, this place doesn't exist. It's not marked on any map. Tall white concrete walls shut it off from the outside world. Here, in the Serpukhov 15 bunker, Petrov is about to begin his shift. He's the shift commander for the Soviet Union's early warning system, OKO. His job is to trigger the alarm if the system detects a nuclear strike. Today, around 80 employees are under his command.
80 employees? Wow.
4 quiet, uneventful hours pass. But at 12:15 a.m., the alarm goes off. It happens during one of the most dangerous periods of the Cold War. Since the late 1970s, tensions have been rising in a new spiral of escalation. Since 1977, the Soviet Union deploys new medium-range ballistic missiles in Ukraine and Belarus. In response, the West introduces the so-called NATO double-track decision. Starting in 1983, similar missiles will be stationed across Europe. These new missiles can independently lock onto their targets. A few weeks after the NATO decision, Soviet troops roll into Afghanistan. The Soviet Union wants to prevent the collapse of a communist regime that has seized power in a military coup along its southern border. The invasion sparks outrage in the West. In response, the West begins backing Islamist insurgents. In 1981, newly elected US President Ronald Reagan unveils an aggressive rearmament plan. He even orders an assessment of whether the United States could win a nuclear war. Soviet leader Yuri Andropov becomes convinced that NATO is preparing a surprise attack. To catch it early, he launches Operation Ryan, the largest intelligence mission in Soviet history. KGB agents are ordered to watch for any sign of a looming nuclear strike. That includes tracking things like sudden spikes in blood donations or an increase of official political visits. That's how Andropov learns about Able Archer, planned for the fall of 1983. Able Archer is designed to be the NATO's largest and most realistic nuclear war exercise. It will simulate a full-scale nuclear conflict at the highest alert level.
Hold on, I just want to pause it real quick. So, Ronald Reagan, when he was elected, he was convinced that we could win a nuclear war. Let's just say, bro, I'm just really glad he didn't put that theory to the test, because this world could have been so much more different, bro. Who, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, things could have been just so bad. Like, who really
will
knows?
Also include large-scale troop movements. Andropov fears it could be a smokescreen for a real strike. In March 1983, Reagan famously calls the Soviet Union an evil empire.
Let us be aware that while they preach the supremacy of the state, declare its omnipotence over individual man, and predict its eventual domination of all peoples on the earth, they are the focus of evil in the modern world.
By this point, dialogue between the two superpowers has all but collapsed. Public fear of nuclear war grows by the day. Millions around the world take to the streets to protest the arms race. The spiral of escalation reaches a temporary peak just 4 weeks before the incident at Serpukhov 15 bunker. It's September 1st, 1983. A South Korean Boeing 747 is en route from New York to Seoul. On board, 269 civilians, including 61 Americans and a US congressman.
No.
What they don't know, the plane has veered off course. A misprogrammed autopilot is steering them straight into Soviet airspace. To the Soviets, every unexpected move looks like espionage. Soviet fighter jets scramble into the sky, one of them flown by Major General Gennady Osipovich.
No, don't tell me that they shoot it down.
Its navigation lights clearly visible, not exactly what you'd expect from a spy plane. Osipovich radios in his report. The order from Moscow is clear: destroy the target. After a brief back and forth, he fires a warning shot. No reaction from the passenger plane. Then he launches 2 missiles. All 269 people on board.
You're lying, bro. Are you kidding me? Oh, bro, I've never heard of this in my life, bro. They shot down the plane that's clearly a passenger. It literally says Korean Airlines on the side, bro. Oh my gosh.
At first, the Soviet Union denies any responsibility. 5 days later, they admit the attack, claiming they genuinely believe the plane was on a spy mission. The United States quickly turns the tragedy into a powerful propaganda weapon. Before the night of September 26, 1983, tensions were hanging heavy in the Serpukhov 15 bunker. Petrov grabs the microphone and shouts, "Everybody to their stations. Follow my orders, check all equipment, and report." He's repeated these words countless times in training. Before being trusted with his role, he had to memorize every detail, including exactly what to say in a moment like this. During basic training, Petrov was drilled for nuclear war. He stood in shielded chambers, handled radioactive material, and practiced emergency protocols for a full-scale atomic strike. But Petrov isn't the kind to just blindly follow orders. He's not a typical soldier. He's a scientist and engineer first. Years later, Petrov faces a decision no training could prepare him for. It's not a moment for quick reaction. It's one for smart analysis. Clear thinking under pressure isn't luck. It comes from understanding how systems behave. Brilliant can help you develop these abilities. Through interactive lessons in various science subjects, Brilliant teaches you to solve complex problems step by step. Take their course exploring data visually, for example. Here, you'll dive into real data sets, uncover insights, and make evidence.
Are we really looking at an advertisement in the middle of like trying to learn something here? Are you freaking kidding me, bro?
20% off an annual premium subscription.
There's no way. We just got like played like that.
Over the course of his military career, Petrov became the Soviets' military's top system analyst. He was honored with several awards for his work, including the title of Master Specialist in the Air Force. Petrov isn't allowed to speak about his work, though, not to his wife, Raisa, or their 2 children, Dmitry and Yelena. Though they live just minutes away from the bunker, they have no idea what he does here, or how critical his decision will be that day. But right now, none of that is on Petrov's mind. Not his family, not even the stakes. He's thinking about teaspoons. Nobody uses a teaspoon to slowly fill a bucket, he mumbles. Why would the Americans launch just 1 missile? The Americans have repeatedly threatened with a massive first strike, hundreds, even thousands of missiles, all designed to hit the enemy at the same time. Petrov orders his team to run a series of checks on the computer systems. Everything is working perfectly, but the cameras show no visual confirmation of a missile launch. 2 minutes later, Petrov finally makes his call. He reports back to the headquarters. Probably a false alarm. Moments later, the sirens wail again. This time the system shows a second missile, then a third, a fourth, a fifth. The alert level jumps from launch to missile attack. Petrov knows the warning system inside and out. He helped to build it. He wrote the software and the manual. The Soviets had rushed to develop OKO after falling behind the Americans. They've been using a similar technology for over a decade. The Soviet system has been operational for less than a year. OKO, Russian for eye, is built to monitor Earth using a network of observation satellites. The satellites feed their data directly into an M10 supercomputer. The machine runs a complex 29-step algorithm to determine if a missile attack is underway, all in near real time. But Petrov doesn't trust the computer. The maximum probability warning feels wrong to him. It's too certain. He and his team see no other signs of a nuclear launch. He thinks to himself, we built the systems, we should be smarter than the machines.
Right?
Petrov reports a second false alarm. What follows are the longest 17 minutes of Petrov's life. That's how long it would take US missiles to reach Soviet soil. Thousands of US ballistic missiles are primed for launch at key strategic locations, such as here, here, and here. Just one Minuteman III missile, armed with 3 warheads, could simultaneously obliterate the Kremlin's military command, flatten an airbase, and vaporize a submarine harbor. If nuclear war breaks out, thousands of cities would vanish in minutes. Hundreds of millions of people would die instantly. Most survivors would be left to face a slow, agonizing death from radiation. Petrov is not certain he made the right call. He estimates the odds of a real attack at 50-50. When Petrov hangs up the phone, his colleagues stare at him in disbelief. He's just broken protocol, without a shred of proof that the warning system was wrong. A storm of questions must be racing through Petrov's mind. What if I am wrong, and missiles really are on their way? Would that be my fault?
Yo, this is
what if it is a false alarm?
crazy.
Could I live with millions of lives on my conscience? In the end, Petrov relies on only one thing, his instincts. He refuses to be the man who starts World War III. "17 minutes pass. No missiles appear on radar. No explosion on camera. Petrov was right. It was a false alarm.
So what was it then? What was that they saw?
Months later, an investigative committee uncovers the cause of the false alarm. A rare and almost deadly chain of coincidences. A unique alignment of high-altitude clouds and sunlight produced a reflection, one the satellite mistook for a missile launch. And all of this happened directly over an American military base. The satellite's sensors were overly sensitive to light reflections. At the time of the alert, the sun was setting over Montana. That boundary between day and night often produces unclear satellite images. Immediately after the incident, this vulnerability was corrected. A while later, the system got an upgrade. The new OKO-1 generation could also determine the exact trajectory and thus the intended target of a nuclear missile. But the system would never again display a warning. The man who saved the world from nuclear war was never recognized as a hero in his own country. No public honor, no monument, not even a promotion. Instead, his supervisor asked him why he hadn't logged the incident properly. Petrov explained. He had the phone in one hand, the microphone in the other. He didn't have a third, and writing it down later would have been forgery. He received a formal reprimand. Apparently, the military leadership was less interested in the truth and more in finding a scapegoat for the system's failure. A year later,
Wow.
Petrov was forced to submit a request to leave the military of his own accord. Whether it was truly voluntary is highly doubtful. After that, Petrov moves with his family to a quiet suburb outside Moscow. For nearly a decade, he works at the research institute that built the Oko system. For years, he tells no one what happened that September night, 1983, not even his family. But 10 years later, shortly after the collapse of the Soviet Union, Petrov's former superior reveals the incident in the Russian military newspaper, Pravda. Still, almost no one in Russia hears about it. Petrov retires in 1994. His monthly pension is about $55. He cannot afford a telephone. At times, he has to scrounge for food. During this period, he cares for his seriously ill wife, Raisa. In 1997, she passes away. A year later, a man in Germany called Karl Schumacher reads an article in a German newspaper about the lonely, destitute Petrov. Deeply moved, he flies to Russia and invites Petrov to Germany. After the turn of the millennium, Petrov's story, at last, reaches an international audience. He is celebrated in the West for his quiet act of courage. At the United Nations, he is honored with the World Citizen Award. Other awards soon follow. More than 200 journalists from around the world come to visit him. Petrov often says he doesn't want to be seen as a hero. He was just doing his job and fulfilling his duty. But he also adds, "The world can be glad that I was in command that night, and not some blindly obedient military man." In 2014, Petrov's story is told in a documentary. The film opens with him hurriedly hiding a bottle of beer under the couch, just before the journalists arrive. He's portrayed as a foul-mouthed, temperamental alcoholic. Many scenes are clearly staged. Petrov later claims that he was forced to use particularly vulgar language on camera. For his participation, he receives a compensation of $3,000. In September 2017, Karl Schumacher calls to wish Petrov a happy 78th birthday. But this time, it isn't Petrov who answers, it's his son. He tells him that Petrov has died a few months earlier, quietly, without the world noticing. The man places an obituary in a local German newspaper. Only then does the public learn that Stanislav Petrov has passed away. 2 years later, a memorial plaque is unveiled in his honor in Oberhausen, Germany. In Russia, however, for a long time the incident remains mostly a secret. Not even Petrov's gravestone mentions what he did, no acknowledgement of his actions. In 2022, the independent Russian YouTube channel Reduxia releases a documentary on Stanislav Petrov. For many Russians, it's the first time they hear his story. Feel free to check it out. The video has English subtitles. More than 40 years after the incident, the nuclear bomb is once again wielded as a tool of political power. Nearly all the major disarmament treaties signed in the late 1980s have either expired or been unilaterally abandoned. The international security architecture built during that era has largely collapsed. Today, nearly all nuclear-armed states are rearming. Their nuclear arsenals are being continuously modernized. In 2025, the doomsday clock stands at 89 seconds to midnight, closer to global catastrophe than ever before, according to the world's leading nuclear scientists. Well, maybe not as close as on that fateful September night, more than 40 years ago. Until his death, Petrov warned that humanity's greatest danger is its own fallibility. One way or another, you always need a person to order a launch of one of these weapons, and a person can always make a mistake.
Wow, I'm not gonna lie. Just like he said, I've never ever heard of this story before, and yeah, bro, like no cap, like he really did save the world. If we're being real, because to think that like the sunlight reflections off of the satellite was coming off as missiles. Imagine if he would have reported it that we're being like that they were being attacked with missiles and they would have launched one back, then obviously the US would have retaliated, NATO, and it literally just a whole World War III would have just started if it wasn't for that guy, bro. That's so literally America as we know it, maybe Russia as we know it, just many countries as we know it would just be different. And we would obviously be facing the aftermath right now, probably still of if that were to have happened or not, just because that was in the 1980s. You know what I'm saying? Like that, it sounds like a long time ago. It really was not that long ago, bro. It's like 40 years, like 40 years ago, a little bit more, but that's not that long ago, bro. So, wow, yeah, that's nuts, man. That's freaking crazy. What else did we see at the end there? Yeah, that a lot of countries nowadays they're rearming. Yeah, that's even that is crazy, bro. Like I hope that in my lifetime, in our lifetimes, that that you guys that are watching this video, I hope that a World War III doesn't happen, man. I pray it doesn't, because obviously the world is a lot more populated now than it was before. We have social media now, and back in those times, like when Hiroshima and Pearl Harbor, when all those bombings and stuff were happening and people were passing away, you only really heard about it on the news, the newspaper, president press conference, whatever the case may be. But now, if something like that happens, people will record it, people will post it, and you're gonna see what people go through, and it's just gonna be just sad all around, bro. It's not gonna be a good time. So yeah, that's nuts, man. That's crazy. The man who saved the world. Now I know. You know what I'm saying? Now I know why it was titled like that. I'm glad I watched it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm glad I watched it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video too, man. I hope you guys enjoyed this Mystery Friday. I know I missed last week. I got kind of caught up with some things last week, but like I told you guys before, as time goes on, we are getting closer to the holidays, right? Soon we'll be in August, then it'll be September, you know what I'm saying? October, November, December, all that. Before you know it, you know what I'm saying? GTA 6 is going to be out. Now, I'm not saying I'm not going to record anything else. I am debating if I want to get the COD that comes out this year, or if I want to switch things up and get 2K and grind 2K for you guys. Like I said, this channel is still pretty brand new. I mean, I only started, when did I start? Hold on. Let me switch my screen here. When exactly did I post my first video on this channel? No, let's go here. Oldest video that I have. 11 months ago. What's 11 months ago? That's like August of last year, basically. Or like June. Sheesh. I really don't know. But long time ago, look, basically August 24, I had 10 subscribers. So yeah, bro, it hasn't even been a full year. So this channel is still brand spanking new. I'm still trying to figure out what exactly my audience is. Obviously, you guys have really enjoyed the reactions. You guys have really enjoyed the gameplay. I posted this video months ago of how to fix this COD issue that was really, really common last year. And as you guys can see, this is my best video by far, and it's a video of how to fix something. So if it gets to a point where you guys are enjoying the videos of me trying to fix certain things or whatever the case may be, hey, by all means, that might just be where I go with it. You know what I mean? If that's what you guys seem to enjoy, by all means, this channel is for you guys. I want to make you guys happy. I want to make sure you guys are entertained. And that's really what it comes down to, man. So, again, thank you guys for pulling up. I'll see you guys in the next video, man. Peace.